What's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Today we're doing a video on Testing Station 152, otherwise known as the Electric Dungeon. This is one of my favorite missions to run on the Overland map, and I think it's probably the best one for players who are just getting into the dungeons and just starting their journey here. This is the best one to start with, just because of the loot pools and the practical experience you're going to get from here. They're going to help run other dungeons in the future, but this one I think is where everybody should start. I'll explain why as we go on, but I'm going to talk here about the difficulty. Yes, it makes sense. The enemies get tougher and you get better equipment. You look here at level 16 grade 4, I'm getting 48 to 54. I've got a very slight chance of getting grade 5 gear. Enemies are somewhat tough. We're going to end up running this station at 16, but I want to show you, look, when you get to 41, which is incredibly difficult here, the percentages are kind of wonky. The grade 4s haven't changed much, but the going from grade 3 to grade 5 is better. Now, you might look at that and you might say, so I want to do them at higher levels to get better gear. It's not necessarily the case. For this run, I'm going to be using a set of forge armor. They're grade 4s, a couple augments here and there. Mainly, though, weapons, branding blade, grade 4 with 3 augments, and then a grade 5 Hallex pick for the boss room with 5 augments. This is what you want to do in this dungeon. You want to slowly progress. As you do another difficulty level, you're going to get some gear drops that are better than what you're wearing right now. And you put those on, and that allows you to step it up maybe 1 or 2 levels from what you just ran it at. And it's kind of a step progression. You're doing this here because the gear you're getting is going to be better than what you're wearing. And in other dungeons, you're also going to be able to use that same gear kind of to get a step up. We're going to break here right now. The wiring here is really bad, so you have to turn off some of these electrified sections. I mean, these testing stations are like thousands of years old, so I guess I shouldn't complain about faulty wiring, but okay, well, we'll talk about this one too. So this thing is spinning here. In order to get through it, you've got to push that little button over there and this little button over here in order to push a button on the wall to open a door. So you want to just time yourself, run in so that you're running with the electric. You hit that one, and then we're going to cut it a little closer to make up some distance. It's always better to run less to gain more ground. But we hit the first button, the second button, and now this is active. And we can go ahead and we're clear. But yeah, the gear you're going to get in here is the forge armor set, which comes with energy mitigation, fire mitigation, and poison as well. So the gear you're getting here not only lets you run this dungeon better, but when you go to the fire dungeon and the poison dungeon, you're going to already be ahead of the game. So that's why I like this one so much and why I recommend that newer players start with this. So after navigating those first few environmental hazards, we're going to get to the first section where there's actually some combat involved. Inside this room, once you step in, the door locks behind you, and there's going to be 2 people in here. One guy with a gun and one guy with melee. I'm going to look for the melee person. But yeah, 2 people per player. So if you come in here with a buddy, there's going to be 4 in here that you'll deal with. They separated out, so let's go ahead and get rid of this guy, and there you are. If you're really good at parrying, this part's pretty easy. A good parry and a slow blade with a strong weapon takes care of business. Now you'll see this red flashing light. That indicates a spawn is on its way. There's going to be 3 spawns in this room. I like to get here by the door so I can hit them right out of the gate. And down. And the melee person, yeah, they just hide over in the corner nicely. So we're going to block and slow blade for the finish. Then we go back over to the door and just wait for this 3rd and final spawn to come through. Eventually. There he is. He's down. Come over here and parry. And slow blade. Now you'll see that door over there that's red. Now turns green. You'll hear the access granted. And you can move on. I usually check these little cases here. Sometimes there's some decent med packs in here. Don't need 2s, I'm good. And you can also replenish some of your ammo as well. But once you get that 3 waves done, it's time to move on. After the first fight, you're going to have another section where you've got to navigate some electricity. That is the true danger in this dungeon. What you have to do is when this door shuts down, you're going to go over there, you hit that little button to open that door, and then you're going to go up here and turn off a switch which shuts down all this electricity up here because you need to hit a button up in that room. Once you come down through, you're going to go and wait for that other door on the opposite side to cycle, come out, go up the ladder, hit the button, and then you're going to be able to move on. I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut here, and also there's a chest that's probably worth getting for you. But we're going to come in here. This is the chest I was just talking about, but the door is closed. So, excuse me, we open this up, and I'm going to go ahead and head up towards the off switch. It's up here, and you'll see the electricity in the background. Boop, is off, so now it's safe. So we head down, and that's what we need to do, is to go up here. There's a switch that we can turn off the electricity over there on the floor so we can get to the next door. There's this cheeky little way where if you jump up, you do have access to it. You'll see the electricity's off. But otherwise, you would come through here, get this band, and then shut this door off. And then you would climb up this ladder and you could go hit that. But I usually grab it from the outside because it's faster. Once that's down, you can head in here. This chest usually has some of these schematic patterns. Depending on what level you're doing the dungeon at, depends on what you're going to get. You'll need those in order to fabricate the different augments. So it's not too much out of the way and doesn't take too much time. There is a second chest further on. I don't normally get it just because it's rather involved, but that's up to you if you want. And here we've gotten to the second set of combat in this dungeon before the boss. It's going to be the same layout. There's one guy with a gun, and there's going to be one melee person. However, the third wave is going to also contain what I call the chain gunners. They're the big heavy guys. So you've got to be prepared to deal with that. We're going to focus on you. A little too close. All right. I like to kind of position myself so I'm only dealing with one person. You see that gunner kind of moved around, but I was already in the process of finishing his friend off. So let's come around here. And done. Again, I like to wait by the doors so that I can take care of those spawns as they show up. This way you're not getting ganged up on, which is something this game definitely likes to do. So he's gone, and now this person's come up the stairs. Oh, we took the hit. Block, and slow blade. We come over here by the door. Now it does like to switch things up for that third one. Instead of the gunner, the melee person comes out, so it's nice to get them off the board. You fought well, Atreides. And now we just have to deal with a regular gunner and the chain gunner. They're going to be left and right of that big thing there, the generator, so I usually move up, try to deal with this guy, and get him gone before the chain gunner gets some sight on me. And we're going to do this, and slow blade, watch out for the sensor blast, dispenser blast, sorry. And he's finished. And then those doors there open. Now, straight ahead of me, if you ever do the Landsrad mission to come in here to get some points for one of the houses, you have to go through there. That's also where you go to get that second schematic chest. Like I said, it's a little involved, so I don't normally do it. But here, we have finally reached the boss room, and we're ready to do this fight. So this fight tricks you into thinking that you need to come in here and damage the boss to get him killed in order to win, while avoiding the lightning. In actuality, you have that backwards. You need to avoid the lightning so that you can damage the boss. We're going to pick the moments when we do damage, and those moments are going to be when we're safest. When the electricity is doing what we know it's going to be, and it's going to be high up in the air or not in the area we're at. Don't just go in there and swing, shoot. Time your shots, time when you're going to hit. I've been using the branding blade. It's a little grade 4. I'm going to switch over and use this Halleck's Pick Rapier. It's a grade 5 with 5 augments. I built it for this fight. So, we do a slight change. Also, I want to talk about the skills that I'm going to use. And you won't see me use many of them. I kind of keep them in reserve in case I need them. The Sugarwire Claw I use to interrupt the boss. If he's doing something I don't like, I can stop him. The Compel I use whenever I get hurt. I will compel the boss so it takes him out of the equation, and I can get a heal off if I need, or, for whatever is going on, let my shield recharge. And then I use source of power because that drops a little thing on the ground that boosts power regeneration. Sugar wire claw is a basic skill that comes out of Trooper. The compel is also a basic skill that comes out of the Bene Gesserit. And Mentat source of power, that is a capstone skill, so you're going to have to put some points into it. But I use my skills defensively to rectify something bad that happened. I avoid the lightning, and I pick and choose the moments that I'm going to go in and do damage. And we're going to go through that process right now. Alright, so we're going to get this started, and I'm going to stop it right here because the first thing I want to talk about is the layout of the room and the pattern. So up here you'll notice that his health bar is divided into 4 sections. Each one of those sections is going to be a phase where the environment kind of changes and you're going to have to deal with it. The second thing I want to point out is this circular room. You'll notice there's like these dividing plates, which kind of create sections. So when you hear me refer to a section, that's what I'm basically talking about. It's just one of the pie pieces in this room. There's 6 total. Third thing I want to point out is on the back wall, you'll see these little nodes. This is where the electricity is actually coming from. There's one on the top, one in the middle, and then one in the bottom. Now, the top and middle don't hurt you if you're on the ground. The bottom one will, so you're going to have to evade that. So just be careful. But let's talk about the first phase, which I refer to it as the rotating wall. You're going to get an electric blast that goes from one side of the room to the other, and it just rotates. There's going to be 6 total flashes across the room, followed by 2 cycles of a top, middle, and bottom that are in lines. So let's go ahead and actually see what I'm talking about. We're going to come in here and get a couple stabs to let him know that we care. And boop, and we'll back away. So here's the first wall, and you'll see that I hit it. At this point, I'm incredibly damageable. His gun does not do well against your shield, but against you, it will hurt. You'll notice I threw down that power pack, my shield's back up, we're ready to go. If you ever get hit by lightning, you should really go into a defensive posture and not worry so much about getting damage on the boss. So there was the top flash, here's the middle, and all you got to do is just stand in these little sections in the middle, don't get too close, and you'll be safe. That was the first one, and here comes the second one. Most people don't have a problem with this. It's pretty straightforward and pretty easy to understand. So now we're going to, ooh, that was close, make sure that we get into a good rotation with the wall. And the boss has given us a window. Don't want to get hit by the dispenser blast because that slows you down and you kind of need to evade things. So getting away from the dispenser blast is very important. So here we're going to wait. Now it's on the top. This is when we do some damage. We get a couple stabs in, back away. And now we're just going to make sure we're in a safe spot. And here comes the second one. Let's go ahead and get him a couple times. Now I could have done a third one there, but always choose safety. Safety over damage. And we'll let it cycle. Let's see, that's not going to be good because it's going to be right on him. And here we go. Alright, we're getting a window real soon. Come on, bud. He likes to stand in the electricity, and at this point, if I wanted to, I could use a compel to bring him out of it. But I'm just going to go ahead and wait. And there we go. And now, the first phase is over. He's going to go immune, so you're going to have to wait a little bit. But we're getting ready to do the second phase. And all the second phase does is make that wall spin. So I call it the spinning wall. Instead of a flash and then a rotate and a flash, it's actually going to flash and move. There's going to be 3 spinning wall flashes and then just 1 single cycle of that top, middle, and bottom. They're still in lines at this point, so just staying in the center of each section, you'll be just fine. So we're going to let him come out of his immunity phase. There's our first blast. We'll get a couple stabs, move away. There was the second. Here comes the third. You can see that it's rotating those little nodes on the wall. So you just have to add some movement while that bottom flash is happening. Boom, there we go. And now it's going to be a wall again. I always like to look at the center to see where the wall is going to start. You don't want to actually be standing in the spot that it starts from. Here's a good window, and now it's going to go top. Get some stabs in, and now it's time to be a little more defensive. Make sure our position's good. We'll We'll look to the center to see where the wall, it's over there. Good. Okay, we're going to keep walking. And we got a window here. Stabs in. 2. Could have gone for a third, but I didn't want him to shock me, which he just did. Luckily, though, we've moved into the third phase, so... Oh, no, we haven't yet. Look at you. Alright, now we did. The third phase is usually where things fall apart for everybody, as it's going to get a little bit chaotic, but we're going to take some time, pause it here for a second, now explain how to deal with the third phase. You'll notice that this pillar came down out of the ceiling, which is why I call this phase the center pillar. That pillar drops down, you'll notice it's made of little balls and rings, but on the very bottom, you'll notice that that pillar ball, whatever, has a circle on it. The beginning of every one of these flash phases, the circle is going to be safe. So you want to start here, and it's going to flash 2 full sections that are opposite each other. So there's another circle on the other side. If you're there with buddies, they can be over there, but just make sure that you're looking at that circle when this phase begins. You're going to then move to the right for 3 consecutive flashes, including the first one that we're watching right here. So yeah, move to the right for 3 flashes. Once that third flash happens, you got to turn around and you're going to move to the left for 2 flashes. And then finally, it does another single top, middle, and bottom flash, but it's the entire floor, not lines anymore. So you're going to have to jump up in the air and use your suspensor belt in order to keep you from getting shocked. There is no safe place on the ground for that bottom flash. And you also want to make sure that you don't jump into the higher ones. When you land, you want to try to land so that you're facing this circle again, so that you're ready for that whole process to start over. So here you'll see everything's fine, and we just move to the right. You don't have to sprint, run, or dodge, just kind of jogging. And here's our third flash. At this point, we turn around. There's 1. Gonna get a stab because I can, and here's 2. Now it's gonna go up in the air, and you'll see it's the entire section. 1, 2, we'll get a stab in while we can, and we go up in the air, and we make sure that we land. You can barely see it behind him. And now it starts all over again. So we're gonna go 3 times to the right. There's the second flash. Here comes the third. Turn around, go to the left. There's 1, and here comes 2. And now we have our damage window. 1 stab, 2, get away from that. Very important, because if you're damaging him during this phase, you have to be able to jump. That suspensor blast is going to keep you from jumping. Very bad news. Again, 1 to the right, 2 to the right, and 3. Turn around. You get a stab in here because he's being real good about his positioning. And let's see, can we finish it in time? I think we can. And boom, there we go. And that phase is done. So now we're going to the final and 4th stage, which I call the easier pillar. Much less is going to be happening in this phase. You want to start out just like in phase 3, where you're facing the circle, okay? And the pillar starts to rotate to the left, but that center portion is always safe. So you want to move to the left for 3 flashes, just moving with that rotation of that pillar. Then it does a single top, middle, bottom, bottom flash. Yep, they do 2 flashes on the bottom. So you have to jump up in the air, have the flash hit the floor, land, and jump back up. Or, depending on what suspensor belt you're using, just stay up in the air long enough for both flashes to occur. But this is a lot easier, not as much happening. So we start out with our back to the circle. You see it's rotating, so we just stay in front of that circle. There's 1 flash. Here's 2. And this will be the 3rd. Now we could go do some damage if we wanted, but here's the upper. Now the middle. And we have 2 bottoms. So we go up in the air, big flash, jump, up in the air, and try to land in front of the circle. We just continue to do this. Keep moving left for 3 flashes. Make sure you jump twice. That one was close. And again, we got a damage window, so let's get in here. Don't want him to hit us with that. Let's see if we can get another. Yep, maybe 1 more. Good. And up in the air. Ew, see my eyeballs. And the second one, and we land. Keep moving to the left, keeping that circle right in front of us. And we're going in. Now you'll see there I missed and he punched me. So I'm going to give up this whole damage phase in order to stay safe. That's the key here. Always stay safe over damage. You're going to have plenty of time if you know the pattern, and you can just reset nicely like we did here. Don't want to get hit by that. And we're waiting for it to go up. And 1, 2, and let's finish this guy, right? Oh, one more. And down he goes. So there you go, folks. Hopefully that's a good guide. I've seen other guides with this, and honestly, I kind of got a little confused. Like, I was looking at it, and I was like, dude, I don't know what is going on here. So I tried to explain this as basically as I can. Once you've learned that pattern, the difficulty doesn't matter. All that means is it's going to be more time or take you longer, depending on what gear you have. Let's see. Idaho's charge 3, whatever. I don't even use this. Oh, we got a 5. We only had like a 3% chance that we got a 5, but it's not something I use, but we'll see. Who knows? So we've got a couple augments here for putting on our weapons, putting on our armor. This is great, especially, for this area. But hey, so we're going to take these rewards and go on our merry way. But like I said, once you've learned this pattern, and once you have that pattern down, all it is a matter of time. Key things to remember is the lightning will take your shield completely down, and that's when the boss can hurt you. Otherwise, he really can't do too much. He's relying on the lightning to weaken you so that he can kill you. Stick to the pattern. Forego damage if you think it's risky. And what you'll do is, as you do this more, you'll start to notice those windows for extra damage, like you saw me stabbing in the midst of it, opening up. And then you could take them. Live and learn. But, you'll start to see those things. And then once you start collecting some higher grade gear, then you can take that into, like I said, the fire dungeon, because you get the fire mitigation, poison mitigation. This testing station, once you learn that pattern, is very simple to run, and it opens up a whole lot of options with some decent gear. So that's it, folks. Hopefully this helps you out. Let me know in the comments if it does, and if you've had trouble with this testing station before. Hopefully that's not going to happen anymore. Thanks again for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and share always helps the channel. And as always, I'll see you out there. Take care.